Hey guys, so what I'm doing is I'm testing my wife's car. Her car had an issue with a misfire and it actually shut off on her earlier today. So what I'm doing is I'm checking with my OBD reader, just getting it read, seeing what's actually the problem with this unit or with this car. And it's coming up with a couple codes. Oh, actually, this time it didn't come out with any codes. So let me just retry that and see if it'll read an issue. Earlier I was reading that there was a misfire in cylinder 1. Because of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the spark plugs. And I've already changed the air filter, which air filter is just regular maintenance. And I'm going to see what happens. Okay, so it's showing no codes right now. That's a good sign. Might not be the coil, which is what I was worried about. But what I'm going to do is I'll change the spark plugs and I'll show you what that entails. Okay, so for my 2010 Toyota Camry, I need to change the spark plugs. What I've decided to get was NGK's Iridium. They're spec to this vehicle, and they're pre-gapped, but you always want to check your gap anyway. First, we have to remove the top cover. That just pops right into place. You move it off to the side. Then you have access to your coils. What I always recommend is you disconnect the coil, remove one at a time, and then change the spark plug, put the new spark plug back in, put the coil back in place, connect it, go to the next one. Okay, so here's an example. The first coil, I've already removed the screw. It's 10 millimeter. You just gently pop it up. What you can also do is, oops, shit, broke the clip there. What you can do is just pop it up gently, move it off to the side, check the rubber boot. You can see, it's a little hard to see, sorry I don't have the proper lighting with me at the moment, but there is a little bit of grease. You might want to clean the exterior before you pop it back in, but I'm going to remove the spark plug and replace it with a new one now. So just to show you why it's good to change your spark plugs, the old one has a lot of carbon buildup. Sorry if it doesn't come out clear. Oh, there we go. So you can see there's a lot of carbon buildup. It's already worn through, and basically it's not worth trying to keep it or clean it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace it for a new one. Okay, so just to recap for the 2010 Toyota Camry, we took out the bolts that were holding the coils in place. They're 10 millimeter, you can see right there, 10 millimeter bolt. We disconnected the pigtails, the plugs. Once we pulled out the coil, we pulled out the spark plug from inside, checked the gap size. Gap size was 0.044 for this vehicle. And then you put them back in, tighten it up, pop in the plug, tighten it back up. I did a little bit of cleaning around here because it was pretty dirty. And looking at the old ones, you can actually see how bad they are. The gap size is all over the place, and they're oxidized, they're burnt. There's too much crud on it, so that was giving a misfire earlier this week. So now what we're doing, or what I did, was I changed the spark plugs. So the engine should be running perfectly fine now. And just remember to recycle all your parts once you're done with them. Right into the recycling. Now we're going to turn it on. We'll put the cover back on. This one just pops in place. You can feel it just clicking into position. The air filter I changed earlier. Yeah, it's also 10 millimeters to remove it. Same with the connector for the boot. Taking off the boot, I sprayed the mass airflow sensor with a mass airflow sensor cleaner. Topped up the windshield washer fluid, which is regular stuff. Oil is at the halfway mark. You could top it up if you'd like. Still sufficient oil within for running the vehicle properly. And at this point, the next thing I have to do is change the tensioner on the alternator. This tensioner right here, it's starting to become a little weak and starting to flap everywhere. And I'll show you that on the next video.